Hello, what's the crack, yes? Welcome to this video where I build this sci-fi Chinese junk boat. To build the hull, I started with a hand sanitizer bottle that was cut into two halves and then glued together. The basic structure of the engine is a yogurt cap cut in half and sandwiched with polystyrene. The gaps were filled with zip ties and food packaging. I used the hull to trace out the foam core deck, and I topped that there with some chopping board roll. With that done, I glued the hull, the deck and the engine all together, adding some lighters to add some bulk with some razor caps on top of them. The main thruster was built with a Yakult bottle, shampoo innards and a salad dressing cap. The main thruster was attached using eraser heads and drilled into place for stability, and some cut-up clothing hangers to attach to the main structure. Between these, the end of the hanger with a pen tube drilled through it to add more stability to the thruster. More shampoo innards to fill thrusters, and the ends of the clothing hangers to hide the connection to the main body. Onto the cabin. I started with a cardstock and shopping handle for the front wall and window. A broken electric blanket plug for the side walls. Part of a broken digger toy and assorted electronics for inside greeblies. The roof was built using an air freshener cap, and the gaps filled with razor heads for extra detail. Then the roof was lined with drawer liner for more detail. For support, more hanger and bead greebleed styrene rods. Next, we glue the cabin to the rest of the body. Adding the air freshener's button to make a smokestack for extra detail. Next, onto the fins. Styrene panels all glued together with panel lines gouged in. A razor handle was added to change the silhouette. More details were added by drilling holes and divots into the plastic. Zip ties were used to simulate vents and rhinestones to simulate stabilizers, and it was topped off with a razor head for the final surface detail. The side fins were built using pretty much the same methods, only a keyboard tab was used for some extra paneling. A shampoo bottle was used to change the whole silhouette and melted and milliputted into place for extra strength. The main fin was attached to the engine using a cut-up board marker, with the gaps and details filled in with EVA foam and more board marker. The entire hull received a panel line gouging all over. The side fins were attached using pen caps, styrene rods and razor heads. Side thrusters were made using board markers, shampoo innards and a superglue cap. The hull is finally closed off with sandwich styrene sheets. Going back to the deck, the gaps were filled with strips of food packaging and EVA foam. A hole was cut for a hatch which would be added later. Returning to the engine, some razor heads, pen innards and caps were added for surface detail. Corrugated pipe with pen cap details were used for the fuel lines. Spray trigger parts and innards for surface detail on the cabin. Back onto the rear thruster, shampoo innards and a rhinestone were used to fill the gaps. To build the hatch, food packaging was just sandwiched. An access ladder was made with aluminum wire. The safety rails were made with Gundam display parts from the 100 yen store. More deck surfacing details were done with razor caps and keyboard tabs cut in half. The antenna was made from a combination of a spray nozzle, pen, shampoo and lighter innards. To make the roof more rigid and to fill gaps, I used food packaging. The thruster details were made with a haft keyboard tab and food packaging with assorted wire and rhinestone. The beacon pole was made from pen and shampoo innards. The oil barrels were made from board marker nibs, shampoo innards, styrene rings and styrene discs, topped with micro beads. The lantern was made from a board marker nib and squeezed juice bottle necks and attached with thin aluminum wire. On to the final deck details, which were again made from razor caps and razor heads. Scrap metal plating was made by using food packaging and extra drawer liner. And that is all she wrote for the building section. She's ready to be primed. Unfortunately, the green stuff minis of my buddy and his cats Peyote and Hashish were done off screen. The hull was base coated sandstone off screen and dry brushed as shown here. Off screen, the mechanical parts and scrap metal panels were base coated. Exposed wires are painted red or yellow and the power light based green. With the base coating done, I slopped on an all over black oil wash and panel lined. The wash was brought back with a makeup sponge and Q-tip. I made stencils of the ship's name and also my buddy's bar name and its number. I sponged on the stencil and weathered the paint with some brown and yellow washes. Engine details were picked out in red and yellows. Followed by hull and fin panels picked out in an orange. With that done, I stippled on lighter tones to simulate weathering, followed by an even lighter rough edge highlight and finished with some light scratching. For the orange, the exact same steps were followed. For the paint chipping, I sponged on some brown and filled in the larger spots with a silver. rust streaks were made with a burnt umber oil paint and paint thinner. The scrap panels got the exact same treatment as the hull. The engine details were edge highlighted with a silver paint pen. Godsend this thing is. All the exposed wires were highlighted and in some cases were given hazard stripes. The lantern was painted red and black with a circle stencil and then finished off with some highlighting. My buddy's bar, Maru Mero, was painted on in hiragana and weathered with a yellow wash. All the lights were then highlighted up to white, followed by a simple OSL dry brush. And that's the ship finished. Now on to the minis. The barrels were base coated in a brown and sponged with lighter tones, followed by a silver sponge to simulate rust. The barrel's paint base coat was put over the top using a sponge highlight and added to that with more sponge highlights. A black oil wash was added to add contrast, followed by more highlights sponged on. Some brown and silver were layered on to simulate weathering and finished with extreme edges and scratches in a light green. And now for peyote. A sandstone base coat with a wet blended light brown was followed by darker brown stripes. Later, light spots were blended in on the butt, belly, chin and paws. A pinkish glaze for the ears, nose and paw pads. And the fur is all finished off with a black wash. Finally, her collar, which is based in a dark green and spotted with white. Next on to Hashish. He is base coated in a dark grey and wet blended with light spots on his chest, butt and paws. The eyes were painted green with the pupil slit painted black. His paw is mechanical because I accidentally stood on it a few weeks ago. Based in gunmetal and exposed wiring green and red, followed by a wash and highlights. Now onto my body. I based the skin with a mid-purple and highlighted up to a peach. For the face, I started with the eyes and worked outward. The face received the same treatment as the rest of the skin. The t-shirts and shorts were base coated in an off-white and vibrant red. Followed by a basic tie-dye swirl and then washed black with an edge highlight. The shorts were given Adidas stripes and then washed and finished with brighter red highlights. The hair was base coated a vivid green and with the roots painted black to simulate growth. The hair and roots were both done with lighter tones up to my satisfaction. His cyborg arm was based with gunmetal and the exposed wires painted red or in hazard stripes. Finished with a wash and highlights. Finally, his getas were based in brown and highlighted with a light tan. Alright, time to put it all together. First peyote and the barrels. Then hashish on the roof. And finally my body walking past. I added some dry brushed texture paste to tie it all together. And that's the whole project done. This took so long, but I enjoyed myself. But thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe, and I'll see you around.